Hello and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host, Owen. Guys, it's a pleasure to speak to you as always here on the channel that brings you daily Rangers content, daily Rangers news and updates. The only way you can stay up to date with all that news, all those daily bits and pieces is by hitting that sub and then ringing the notification bell, and on that notification bell, setting it to all so you get that reminder to your phone, to your computer, wherever it is you watch that your updates to find out all about the most successful team in football. The fact the city is blue, the fact that this is the only team in Glasgow worth supporting. So let's talk a little bit about this man, Connor Goldson. Connor Goldson is obviously at this moment in time injured. He missed the Old Firm game on Saturday, and I think was a big miss. I know some fans don't like Goldson. I know some fans have some doubts about Goldson as a player, but in my opinion, we did miss him on Saturday for his leadership qualities as well as his defensive qualities. You can't help but feel that, after those two absolutely glaring errors that did cost Rangers the game, I know Celtic fans won't have this, and I know Celtic fans won't believe this, but the fact that we basically handed them that game on Saturday, that Davis error and that Sauter error, which was obviously further compounded even, by the fact that Alan McGregor is getting a bit old and slow now and could not reach the ball. If McCrory had been there, maybe he could have got there. Anyway, Connor Goldson was due to play all week. There was no doubts over Goldson, and it seemed to come out a bit out of the blue, didn't it, that Connor would miss the game. Apparently, the injury, according to Michael Beale, happened right at the end of Friday's training session and was a hip flexor injury. There was so much rumour and supposition floating around about the injury at the time. Some said it, people saying it was food poisoning. Others saying it was a muscle injury, but were unclear as to what the muscle injury was and the nature of that injury. It's now obviously clear that it was a hip flexor injury. Rangers certainly have suffered this season. They have really had that injury curse. Someone has clearly run over a black cat, walked under a ladder and smashed a mirror at the club when it comes to injuries. The likes obviously of Tom Lawrence missing a substantial part of the season. Yanis Hadji, who is just now back from injury, has missed a large part of the season. And that obviously has gone a long way to the fact that Rangers are so far behind in the title race. Yes, Celtic have done well this season. We've got to obviously give them some credit for that. But at the end of the day, we have suffered with a great deal of injuries to very important players. Had Tom Lawrence been available all season, had Yanis Hadji been fit all season, had Connor Goldson not missed some crucial games, more of that later, then maybe we would be a lot closer in this title race. Obviously, I know the role played by Gio van Bronckhorst was partly to blame for Rangers' collapse. So Goldson, as we know, missed the Old Firm game. Now he is having a scan. It was yesterday. He had this scan where we will find out the true extent of his injuries. Goldson has missed a number of games this season. That have really cost Rangers. If we look at Goldson's stats from this season, Goldson has played 23 of 31 league games this season, has missed 8 games in total, has scored 2 goals, has 2 assists, so 4 goal contributions and 4 yellow cards. On top of that, obviously, Goldson is the club vice captain behind James Tavernier. So he is an important part of our team, an important part of our squad, no matter what you may think of him as a player. It did come as a big surprise when he missed that Celtic game. When I was we were doing the pod, myself and Victoria were doing the podcast on that Friday night with David Marshall from Heart and Hand. That news sort of dropped a little bit. It was rumored in the live chat, and then it was rumored again. Through what David Marshall was able to find out as well. Obviously, Heart and Hand being official club media partners of Rangers, that Goldson would be missing the game, and it certainly came to Victoria and myself as a bit of a surprise that Goldson was going to miss the game. But this injury, this hip flexor injury, the extent of it and how many games he will miss was not clear at the time, and won't be clear until the results of this scan have been revealed by the club. Michael Beale spoke of his disappointment that Goldson would be out, and said that, like I said, that it was only at the last minute this injury occurred. And they had hoped that even though he'd suffered a slight niggle in training, as Beale put it, he would be okay for the game. However, it turned out that he was not, and Davis and Sauter had to be the defensive central pairing for that game against Celtic. Rangers really did suffer, didn't they? Those 2 errors. Like I said, I feel that perhaps one of those errors wouldn't have occurred if Goldson was there, which would have obviously put a vastly different feel to that game. Earlier in the season as well, Goldson missed the games against St Johnstone, St Mirren and Livingston, which cost Rangers 7 points. And, that is a big thing, isn't it? The fact we've dropped points when Goldson hasn't been there. And I know it's obviously down to other factors as well, not taking your chances. The fact that Cholak and Morelos are not really the answer up front, and we do need further centre forward help. But Goldson is a big miss. We're obviously, hoping that whatever the extent of this injury is, that it is not a season-ending injury, that it is not an injury that's going to keep him out for the whole of the month of April. Obviously, at the end of the month, we go to Hampden Park, where we will face Celtic in the Scottish Cup semi-final. The Scottish Cup is the only remaining hope Rangers have, obviously, of getting silverware. Not only that, but stopping Celtic from getting the treble as we did last season. Having Goldson back would be a major boost for the team. Say what you want about Goldson, and like I said, I know some fans don't like him and don't rate him as a player, but he is probably the best of those three central defenders. And the fact that we don't have a great deal of depth behind Souttar and Davis is also another reason why we need Goldson back and fit for that game. Goldson, Davis, Goldson, Souttar would definitely be more favourable than going to that game with Souttar and Davis again against Celtic. Celtic may again have a bit of a mental upper hand after those two glaring errors against them at Parkhead, obviously, as well as the one further Old Firm game whenever that occurs. So the return of Goldson is needed. So obviously we're gonna have to keep our eyes open, our ears open to what the situation is with Goldson. Wait to see what the club has to say, and after they get the results of this scan back. But certainly, if history is anything to go by, it probably won't be very good news, because let's face it, we all heard with Tom Lawrence, it's just a short-term injury, he'll be back in a couple of weeks, he's gone for the season. This is a situation where the club have suffered this season, and we have to hope that the curse has not hit Connor Goldson. Well, Rangers fans, let me know what you think about Goldson. Do you think that having him back would be a major boost for the team, and do we need him for that semi-final, or are you confident that Davis and Souttar could cope in that semi-final? Thank you so much for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. Thank you so much for all your subs and support and your comments. I love comments from Rangers fans. I will always endeavour to reply to comments from Rangers fans about the club, about the videos, about the content. And if you're a Celtic fan, I will just delete your comments. I really am not interested in what you have to say. Thank you so much for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. I'm about to speak to you very soon here on the channel. Guys, thank you. Back soon.